good about the tape. Obviously, some areas to improve on, which we need to do as we prepare for this Cincinnati team. We know they're a good one, but there was positives on both sides, really all three phases. I liked what I saw from the special teams. I like what I saw for the defense and the fact that we, forced them into punting the ball. They hadn't done that in the last couple of games, and we were able to get them to punt the ball 4 times. And those turnovers, those opportunities that you're given, give you a chance. And so, and listen, we'll work on a few other things just to clean up as we come against this powerful Cincinnati offense. And then, offensively, there were some good individual efforts. There were good team offensive efforts. And then collectively, I thought as a team, our guys stuck together. There's a certain strength that you felt on the sideline. And there's never been any finger pointing, which is big in those tight situations. That's where you find out about your team. There was no tighter situation than that one right there. And the guys all hung together, and the defense trusted the offense trusted the defense, and special teams. Everybody was rowing the boat in the same direction. So anyways, with that, time's yours.
Let's go first to Herbie Tiopi. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, good afternoon.
Thanks, sir.
Tyrann Mathieu last night obviously was in the concussion protocol. We didn't get an update after the game, but how is he feeling? And what is your hope for him this week, understanding he does have to clear the protocol?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the guys that I have Rick has seen this morning in our doc. So he's still in the protocol and he's still going through it, but does feel good. So we'll just see how that goes going forward. One thing I did mention, Herbie, on the other thing was just our fans were incredible, man. They're nice and loud and aggressive. We appreciated that. Anyways, but that was the update on the Badger.
Go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, a couple of things. First of all, any other injuries of note last night other than Tyrann's injury? And Brad, I'll have a second question.
No, I haven't seen the other guys. They haven't been in yet. We have a late check-in today, so it's give the guys a little rest.
Okay. And you mentioned Cincinnati a minute ago and their offense. What is it about Jamar Chase? I mean, he obviously was a handful for you guys last time around. He has been for other teams the Bengals have played. What is it about him that makes him that kind of player?
Yeah, so he's a good receiver. He knows how to set up routes, especially for a young guy, and then he's strong when he gets the ball in his hands. He's got great core strength and lower body strength, and quick feet to go with it. So he's a complete package. He's one of those guys that isn't 6'4", but plays like he's 6'4". He's got great range.
Let's go next to Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Hey, Coach, appreciate the time here. Kind of in the reaction to last night's game, a lot of fans wanted to see Josh Allen have the opportunity to touch the ball in overtime. Going back to 2019, you all obviously made a proposal. I'm curious, what were you aiming to change with the overtime rules in that proposal?
I don't know, but I'm glad we didn't change as of last night. But I had a chance to talk with Sean afterwards, and that's, I'm sure, something that they're going to look at again too. And I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just, that's a hard thing. I mean, one team, it was great for us last night, but is it great for the game, which is the most important thing that we should all be looking out for. So, it probably, to make things equal, it probably needs to be able to hit both offenses, both defenses. So.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. A couple of things for you real quick, but when you go back and watch the film, particularly those last 13 seconds, are you just watching it from a coach's perspective, or are there some emotions that pop up as you're watching the way that unfolded last night?
Yeah, I have no sound on my thing here, so I'm doing my own narrations, and I would tell you that unfortunately my eyes trained to go to the things that aren't so good first, and but so I don't get too caught up in it emotionally. But it was a crazy situation. I haven't been through a lot of those with 13 seconds left, and but I thought we managed that whole process the right way. Whether it was the timeouts, whether it was the players, where they could make some adjustments according to looks that took place, and I think it just all worked out well. The coaches being able to get the plays in. I mean, EB, I mentioned last night, has a ton of things going through his headset, and for him to be able to get everything spit out to the quarterback is that's a challenge, and he did a nice job with that during the most chaotic time.
Secondly, is off of that. It is a really chaotic time, and you and your coaches. But I wanted to ask you specifically about your mindset in those situations. What allows you to be calm? Is it just that you have so much in front of you to think about that you can't think about the chaos of it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, my assistant coaches were phenomenal during that time, so I have a lot of trust in them. Everybody has their own category that they're responsible for. Every situation we've got covered by a coach or two. So I was, we're able to talk and communicate that. I've got trust in those guys and what they see and like, and and they're able to work it out with EB, so it gets organized when I go down, and I can kind of make sure the referees know what I'm thinking, the officials know what I'm thinking. So it just we've practiced it and practiced it and practiced. You don't very often get a chance to do it in that type of a setting. So I'm just glad the rehearsal worked out. That we've worked on was able to play out the way it did.
Sweeney, go Pete.
Coach, Eric Bieniemy has called Patrick a competitive prick before. Your Grim Reaper comment from last night has kind of made the rounds here. Where do you think that Mahomes draws just that ultra competitiveness? Is it just simply a desire to be great, or is it deeper than maybe something that you see that we don't see?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a nice guy, right? We all know that. He's a good kid. You guys deal with him all the time. But down in there, he's gritty, and he wants to get after you every opportunity he has. And most of all, he wants to be great, and he wants people around him to be great. And he has the ability at that position to do that. And he's not, he's not afraid to be coached. He's not afraid to study hard. He's not afraid to work out hard, go the extra mile with diet, strength training, all those things. Flexibility, he goes and tries to do it the best he possibly can. And as a result, you get what you got there. And what we've seen, we've been spoiled with this now for the last few years. He's a pretty spectacular player. And, we're lucky to have him right here in Kansas City. And so, and to have that grit, I think that tells you a little bit about him. That's something special.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Brad, and I'll have a quick follow-up. Coach, I don't want to say, have we reached a point that Patrick is so good and Josh Allen is so good and the receivers are so good that like defenses just can't stop them? I mean, Buffalo was the number one defense, points and yards, and it seems the end of the game you could do whatever you wanted.
Yeah, I think it's a cat and mouse game. I mean, one year it might feel like that, or one game it might feel like that, and then the next game it goes the other way. So it just depends a little bit on the matchups or whatever coverages, whatever routes you might have called. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, but I would just warn that it's an up and down yo-yo, man, as you go with this thing. One year the defense is dominating the offense, and then the offense comes back and dominates defense. And you probably could break it down, like I said, to every game. It's a little bit different.
And then everybody's talking about the game all across the country. And the debate is it the greatest game that was ever played? Do you ever have a moment? Will there be, if it's not now because you're too busy moving on to Cincinnati? Do you have moments where you sit back and reflect a game like this and what it means in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, I might down the road somewhere, but you got it. I mean, right now, since last night, we were moving on to Cincinnati. I mean, it's just, there's no time to wait on that. And they had an extra day there to kind of take a look at whatever two teams they thought they were going to play. And so it was important that we got on it and make sure we have all the bases covered. So that's where we're deep into it right now, Saran. So Cincinnati.
We got three more. We'll go right down the line, starting with Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Andy. Brad, I'll have a follow-up to Andy. These are both related really to Brett Veach. I know this is kind of ancient history now, but how hard was it for you to give up the general manager duties when you did, and to, I guess, let go of that in a certain sense? And I'll have the follow-up, Brad.
Vahe, I welcome that. Even my last couple of years in Philadelphia, Howie Roseman had reached a point where he was doing a great job with it, and I was able to back off a little bit there. I still haven't final say, but able to back off just a bit on the evaluation, just going through all 400 guys, So it was that can be time consuming, and so when I came here, Clark wanted the structure where it was such, and where you had a head coach, a general manager, a president, and allowed us to each voice our opinion to him on whatever our area was of expertise. So I just thought it cleaned it up. It was great. I thought it was really really something I could I'd like to get back to doing. And so John Dorsey did a nice job for us, and then Brett took over for John, and he did it. He's doing a great job for us, and it's been a positive thing.
And the follow up with that, Andy, is I believe at Brett's wedding, John Dorsey gave a toast that marriage is about trust, and then he said, like Andy and Brett. I wonder if you remember that, but also if you could speak to why you have such trust in Brett and how essential that's been to what's happening now.
Well, I do. I mean, he was my administrative assistant one time. Now he's a big time GM in the National Football League. So, he went from going out and grabbing me cheeseburgers to doing this. I mean, it's quite the climb, but he does a great job. You guys know him, and you know how hard he works and the energy level that he brings every day. So I'd put him up against any GM in the National Football League for covering all the bases and making sure the communication is right between he and the coaching staff. He's got a great feel for all of that.
Last two, we'll go Darren and then Steve. Go ahead, Darren.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon to you. I'm curious, when you look ahead to this game on Sunday, being in Cincinnati and seeing that game in person, what takeaways do you have, saying to where you had a 14-point lead twice in that, 3 times in that ball game, to where obviously you all ended up on the other side of it. What takeaways do you have, and how do you plan on making sure that if you're in that scenario again, that history doesn't repeat itself?
Yeah, Darren, they made big plays on us, and both sides of the ball, where they were able to slow us down and then pick it up on their offensive side. And so we've got to do a better job all the way around. Special teams included. We every phase can be better. They beat us. I mean, it wasn't a fluke. I mean, they beat us. And so they're a good football team. And it's important that we have a great week of preparation here. And that's one reason why the urgency level was there even yesterday, once the game was over, to get busy.
We'll ask Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, Tyreek said post game yesterday that you and EB are like Shaq and Kobe. I want to get your thoughts.
He's cutting out just a little bit. Can you hear me okay? You're cutting out.
Can you get me? Can you hear me
I
now?
heard the Shaq and Kobe. I presume I'm Shaq.
Yeah, EB. I don't know who's who, but EB called you. You guys Shaq and Kobe. I just want to get your thoughts on that, and I have a follow up to that.
You know what would probably be better is if I heard Shaq's comment on that. You know, he wished he was looking this good. Doggone it. No, listen, EB played for me and he's coached for me, or with me. And I would just tell you, we have to be on the same page during the game, and the communication has to be spot on. And, we started off with a young quarterback that didn't have a ton of experience, and to watch the growth that's taken place with him between EB, Mike Kafka, and the job that those guys have done with Patrick is phenomenal. But and so EB and I spent a ton of time working through all of that stuff and just making sure that we're rolling and dancing the same dance there. And I have full trust in that. When people say EB doesn't call the plays, EB does. I mean, he literally calls the plays in there, and then I have full trust that if he has an idea and he wants to shoot it, that he puts it in and we go. And I never question that.
And we hear all the time from players about phone calls, texts, and messages they receive post game. I know for you, it's on to the next, but I'm curious how it was for you last night after a game like that. Did you get any calls, texts from family, coaches, or former players, or anybody notable that we should know about?
Yeah, so I had a lot of text messages, well into the hundreds, and I didn't even know I knew that many people, but it was great to hear from some of them, and or really all of them. But it was I don't know if there's any way you can return all that to them, but I'll say it right here as you ask the question. I'm thankful that everybody sent those out.